Hello everyone, today is 19th of December. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Now guys, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS folder. So today we will be taking a quote from the Malala Yousafzai, the Nobel Prize laureate and the activist for the girls' education. She says, extremists have shown what frightens them most, a girl with a book. Now guys, this particular quote is a very powerful symbolic metaphor where the Malala is saying that the education and the empowerment of women is the thing which is driving the extremist fearful. Now guys, extremists have been the forces which have been rigid into their outlook, into their ideology, and one rigidity also flows from the fact that girls are needed to be contained and the enlightenment into the form of education is to be restricted. Only then the extremist can maintain their regime of fear. And when the empowerment of the women as well as empowerment via the education will be coming, it will threaten their existence. Guys, we can utilize this particular quote into GS paper number 3 under the topic of extremism, as well as into the GS paper number 4 along with essay. So guys, that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, taking up the first article, it has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it becomes relevant under the GS paper number 2, that is the separation of powers between the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. Now, guys, before going into this particular news item, let's see some of the background what has happened. See, there have been reports that in Andhra Pradesh, police is interfering into the civil disputes and it is taking people into the custody. Now, into this particular respect, guys, a habeas corpus writ was filed into the High Court. Now, first of all, guys, what is this habeas corpus? You might have seen into the chapter onto the fundamental right that under Article number 32, the Supreme Court has been made the guarantor of the fundamental rights, and similarly, under Article number 226, the High Court has been made the guarantor of the fundamental rights. And when somebody has been detained or somebody has been held into the custody, so for against that particular thing, habeas corpus writ could be filed in the Supreme Court or into the High Court. Now, as it has came into the Andhra Pradesh High Court, so it would have been done by using the article number 226. So various habeas corpus writs, particularly 14 writs were made, and it was said that police has detained the people. Now guys, or reacting onto this 14 writs, the Andhra Pradesh High Court had directed that there needs to be a judicial inquiry, and into this judicial inquiry we will see that whether a constitutional breakdown of the machinery has taken place into the Andhra Pradesh. And if the constitutional breakdown had happened, we will consider that whether the president rule can be imposed into the state of Andhra Pradesh. Now guys, suo moto, this particular thing was done, and even the state council was summoned that he should assist the Andhra Pradesh High Court in ascertaining whether the constitutional breakdown has happened or not. Now guys, this particular thing is clearly breaching the kind of a constitutional mandate. Now you might be knowing that there is article number 356 which provides about the president rule or the state emergency. And under article number 356, it has been very clearly provided that is the executive or the governor needs to provide a report to the president on to whose basis the president rule can be imposed, or president can also act as per his own understanding of the situation. Even guys, additional ground has also been provided in article number 365, that is if center has given certain direction to the state and state has failed to comply to that particular direction, it will also be assumed by the president that the constitutional breakdown has happened. Now guys, in all of these provisions, only executive has been empowered and at no point the judiciary's role has been mentioned. And now the Andhra Pradesh High Court is talking about interfering into this particular role. And guys, into this direction, now the Supreme Court has stayed such direction by the Andhra Pradesh High Court, and as Supreme Court has called it as the violative of the constitutional provisions. Even the Supreme Court has called it as the violative of the basic structure of the Indian constitution. So guys, this particular matter has happened here, so please keep it into your mind. And guys, if any question comes with respect to the judicial adventurism or the judicial overreach or the breach of the separation of powers, we can give this particular example of the Andhra Pradesh High Court. So that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Business Standard newspaper, and it is important for our GS paper number 3, the security related issues, as well as for the GS paper number 2, and in terms of the relations with a particular neighbor, that is China. Now, guys, before going into this particular news item, let's see first of all the context of this news. So, what has happened recently? The cabinet committee onto the security, they have issued the national security directive on telecom sector, and into this national security directive they had said that the telecom operators need to procure the telecom equipment only from the trusted vendors. Now this particular thing becomes relevant because now India is looking for the testing of the 5G technologies, and for this 5G huge telecom equipment will be required. And into this particular requirement, it has been said that for such a thing only trusted vendors need to be explored. Now guys, into some quarters it has been said that by this trusted vendor kind of clause, India is indicating against the Chinese firms such as the Huawei. However, nowhere name of the China has been used, but the trusted vendor name has been used. Now into this particular direction, there are two type of responses which are coming. Some people say that it is good, seeing the importance that has been assumed by the telecom into the national security, and every country has a kind of a right to their own security concerns. However, there are some other people who are calling such move as wrong, because it was said that now we are talking about the integration with the world, and such a kind of a approach doesn't send the right signals. And guys, even India's stand with respect to the ease of doing business also gets impacted here. Now into this particular direction the article has been carried, and it has been said that actually the order which has been given by the government onto the telecom vendors, it is nothing unique, rather world over such a thing is being taken up. Guys, it has been said that the countries with the 60% of the global GDP or 30% of the population, they in themselves have imposed such kind of restrictions, and the trusted vendor kind of thing they have also imposed. And here the US, UK, EU all have imposed such kind of restrictions. For example, here you can see that the United Kingdom has prevented the high risk vendors from supplying the equipment for the core of the network, which acts as the hub for all data traffic and all the meta data. And similarly, guys, the UK has also recommended a cap of 35% on overall market share for the high risk vendors. Similarly, the UK has also excluded their equipment from the sensitive locations, as onto the border locations India had restricted. And after that, the UK also excludes these high risk vendors from the sensitive networks which are being run by the government. Similarly, guys, the USA has also taken up the steps, and USA has enacted the Secure and Trusted Communication Networks Act into the 2019, and into this it is also regulating. And similarly, the European Union has also initiated a kind of guidelines for the members which are to be abided when they are dealing with the high risk vendors. So guys, India also, when it is regulating the supply of the telecom equipment, it is not something unique which has been done. And guys, if we see, actually the Indian telecom operators, particularly the BSNL, they have a huge reliance onto the Chinese equipment. For example, BSNL is using the 40% of its network equipment from the Chinese firms, and similarly the other companies such as the Airtel, Vodafone, they are also using the Chinese kind of equipment. So under the national security, such a thing can also be taken up. So that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken from the Business Standard newspaper, and it is important for our GS paper number under the section of Indian economy. Now guys, before going into the news, let's see the context. What has happened? India has been added into the currency manipulation watch list by the USA. and along with it, Thailand and Taiwan has also been added to the manipulation watch list. Now guys, first of all, what is this manipulation watch list? So there are certain of the countries which have been given a tag of the currency manipulator. It means that deliberately the government authorities, they are buying the currency, they are selling the currency to keep the currency at a particular price. Now guys, China has been one of very notorious country into the Chinese manipulation, and deliberately they have kept their yuan undervalued because it will be helping the Chinese exporters, and by this particular way China leads the competition. Now guys, for the time being, as India has been added, India has not been officially called as manipulator. Rather, right now India is a monitoring list, and if into the monitoring list India's behavior will be such that it continues on to some of the forbidden parameters, then India will be called as actual currency manipulator. First of all, let's see the grounds on which any country is kept under the watch list for being the currency manipulator. So there are three grounds. Number one ground is if a country is consistently intervening into the currency market and it is keeping their currency weak, so therefore it is a kind of a manipulation. Then if a country is having constantly current account surplus, it is the condition number two. And third condition is the trade surplus, particularly with the USA. Now guys, trade surplus means that if A country and B country are trading, and if B country is exporting more and importing less, then the B country will have the trade surplus. And now guys, out of these three conditions, if any two are be satisfied, then the country will be put into the monitoring list, and if continue such kind of behavior, it will be called as official currency manipulator. Now let's analyze the Indian situation. Number one guys, whether India is intervening into the currency market. Yes, into last few of the months, India has massively purchased the foreign exchange, and guys, nearly $64 billion foreign exchange has been bought by India, which accounts equivalent to 2.4% of GDP. So yes, India is interfering. Then guys, whether we are having the current account surplus, so into last few months India had the favorable current account surplus, and guys, even the trade surplus with the USA is also there. But into the article it has been said that such a thing should not worry the India because of certain reason. Number one, putting a country into a monitoring list is not having any impact onto the ties between the two countries. Neither there are some kind of sanctions nor there are some kind of problem. Even in 2018, in the month of April, the India was added into the watch list, and by 2019 India even came out of this, and even the USA appreciated India, citing that India has cooperated well and very transparently have provided all the information. Secondly guys, when we see the trade surplus, it is just $22 billion, and it is not that much that USA can red flag the India. Then guys, the third condition is this, that actually we are having the current account surplus now, and the primary reason was the lockdown in which many of the imports were reduced, and guys, even the non-essential consumption of the people went down, therefore also the imports were low. But now as the economy is recovering and the lockdowns have been removed, again the import will start, and by that particular thing will very soon India's condition will be again be reaching towards the current account deficit. Now guys, let's analyze one of the issue that we have mentioned. It has been said that government is artificially keeping the rupee down. Now how a weak rupee helps the Indian export? Guys, just let's take this particular example. Suppose USA wants to import some of the Patanjali product which is being made into India. Now let's assume that on to the day one, the price between the rupee and the dollar, the exchange price is this, that $1 is equal to 100 rupees. Fine. Now guys, if the Patanjali product which the USA wants to import, it cost 100 rupees, then simply you can see that in USA have to pay $1. Now guys, on to the second day, let's see that if this particular $1 becomes 200 rupees, what will be happening? Now the USA, if it wants to purchase the same product, it doesn't needs to give $1, rather only into the 50 cents it can buy the product. So now USA will think that this product has become cheaper in US and more of the supplies will be taken up. So all the countries wants that their currency needs to be devalued, not to be appreciated, and when government is intervening, government is also keeping a kind of a check that Indian currency is also devalued. And guys, as now economic recovery is to be increased, we need to enhance our export also. So a weak Indian rupee will be helping. However, for so long time, such kind of manipulation can also not be done by the RBI specifically because of the limited capacity that we are having. So guys, this is all into this particular direction. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is important for our GS paper number 2 under the topic of the Indian neighborhood. Now, guys, what has happened recently? The virtual summit has happened between the Indian Prime Minister as well as between his Bangladeshi counterpart Sheikh Hasina. And guys, into this particular summit, India had called Bangladesh a major pillar and one of the most prominent factor into the neighborhood first policy of India. And even the Bangladesh had invited the Indian Prime Minister onto their 50th anniversary of independence celebration. Guys, in 1971, Bangladesh got liberation, particularly because of the Indian efforts. And in 2021, they are celebrating the 50th anniversary. Now, guys, it has been said that this particular summit is indicative of the warmth between the relations, but still there are some of the unresolved issue between the two countries which are acting as the irritant. Number one, guys, this particular year 25 Bangladeshis have been killed around the border by the Indian forces, and it has been called as the gross abuse of the human rights. After that, guys, the Tista water dispute has also been not completely resolved up till now. After then, guys, into the start of the year, there was the Citizenship Amendment Act and the National Register of Citizens, which was proposed, and Bangladesh had called it as unnecessary. After that, the China factor becomes a prominent. It has been said that China is trying to influence Bangladesh by giving them the attractions such as the investment, building up of infrastructure, and all such kind of thing. And it might be a possibility that China might use the Bangladesh negatively against the India. But guys, it has also been the truth that the India and Bangladesh have been all weather friends. And now India needs to prove that India is very much eager to take this friendship with the Bangladesh forward. And now, as the Golden Jubilee is being celebrated by the Bangladesh, India needs to show the good kind of gestures. Now, guys, it has been said that the government of Bangladesh, on one hand, it has taken up impressive of the economic reforms. Their economy is doing well, the absolute poverty is reducing, and even the Bangladesh has become one of the largest trading partner of India into the South Asia region. But at the same time, onto the political front, Bangladesh is also facing some of the criticisms, and particularly the Islamist forces, they are driving their agenda. Number one is that the Hifazat-e-Islam, they are criticizing the recent decision of the French President Emmanuel Macron, where Macron has resolved that he will be reforming the Islamism into the France, and such kind or into this particular direction. Even the bill is being taken up by the cabinet. After that, guys, the opposition parties of Bangladesh, they are also very much critical of the Bangladesh because the government is considering building a statue for the country's founding father, that is the Bang Bandhu Mujibur Rahman. And it has been said by the Islamist forces that building a statue under the Islamism is wrong. However, government is resolved to take this particular thing. Now, guys, the gist of the article is not to keep in mind these domestic concerns, rather it is the fact that as India is having the vibrant politics, Bangladesh is also having the vibrant politics, and India should not take interest into the domestic political matters of the Bangladesh, because whenever such thing has happened, it has created the tensions into the bilateral relations. Just take an example, the recent India UK issue. So as UK showed interest into the farmer protest in India, India did not saw that particular thing into the good light. And recently, when the foreign secretary of UK was on to the state visit in India, he clarified this thing that politics is a very sensitive kind of a matter, and such kind of observations happened into the UK against India with respect to farmer, because in UK there is a very vibrant lobby of Indian people. So guys, always a lesson 101 into diplomacy is this: never interfere into the domestic political matters, and such thing India also needs to take care right now. So that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Guys, this particular article has been taken from the Business Standard and it is talking about defanging the fang, that is the nuisance of the tech giants into the present times. Guys, overly again and again repeated articles are coming onto this particular issue in so many of the newspapers, and I can assume that there is a huge probability that a question might be asked either in GS3 or even an essay onto the emerging influence of the tech giants can also be there. So guys, please make a opinion onto this particular thing. Now, first of all, you let's understand that what do we understand by this word FANG. So FANG has been a kind of an acronym for some of the tech giants, particularly the five, that is the Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. It has been said that traditionally these companies have been admired for their innovation and for the far-reaching consequences for the businesses. But now, by the 2020, apart from the pandemic of COVID-19, a new trend is emerging, that is criticizing these FANG companies and calling them as abusive, misusing their market dominance, and creating such kind of model where winner takes all and other kind of competitions they are kept up away from the market. Now, guys, it has been said that in 2020, even when the pandemic was there and businesses were disrupted, the market cap of these tech giants have increased. And guys, particularly the share prices of the three of the companies, that is the Alphabet, which is owning the Google, Apple, and the third is Amazon. Their share prices have skyrocketed. They three have become the trillion-dollar companies, and even the Facebook is soon to become a trillion-dollar company. And guys, if we talk about these five fangs, they are accounting 20% of the S&P index. And further, it has been said that not only economic power but all other type of power is also coming to these particular firms, particularly the Facebook. It has been said that the Mark Zuckerberg, the founder, he is the most powerful person, unelected person onto the earth, and he himself has become a kind of a supra state who can influence any trend into the world. And guys, though Zuckerberg had many a times called that he is for protecting the integrity of the national elections, but it is ironic because Facebook has many a times been accused that it is propagating the fake news, hate speeches, even particularly into the India. The charges were levied onto the Facebook that it has influenced the elections. And guys, now many of other charges have also been raised by the United States Justice Department against the Facebook. It has been said that recently a kind of a deal happened between the Google and the Facebook where they decided that they will be rigging the auction process for the internet space. And similarly, guys, when we are talking about the charges, not only in US they are there, even the European Union, they have imposed a $2.7 billion of the fine onto the Google because it was said that the Google influences the shopping trends and deliberately it keeps it into their own favor. And guys, at the same time, even the European Union is considering that the tax routing practices have been taken by the tax giants where they are using the tax havens and are not paying the adequate amount of tax, and a new policy into this particular direction is also being prepared. Now, guys, it is also the thing that the influence of the FANG has been so much powerful that even into the USA, a trend is going on where it has been said that Facebook is a doomsday machine. It will be bringing a crisis of humanity into the times to come. Now, guys, when we talk about the fangs, they say that rather they have become bring a kind of a boon to the humanity. They have provided the solutions for the climate change by using the artificial intelligence. They are working to provide the internet to all the people irrespective of their paying capacity. But at the same time, it is also the fact that these companies have teamed together and are using the data in order to influence the psychological profile of the people. And guys, the irony is such that such a big trend is going on into the world, but in India there is no debate onto this particular direction. The government is not even considering that what is the impact of these fangs in India. Particularly, just take that the Facebook and the Geo have entered into a deal. What this nexus can do in India, this thing has not been explored by the government. So guys, this is all about this particular article. A very good thought provoking point has been provided. Please do keep it in your mind. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it is talking about the recent direction by the Allahabad High Court, where Allahabad High Court had provided that the arrests that are being done by the Uttar Pradesh government under the recent ordinance which the UP had brought with respect to the unlawful conversion of religion ordinance 2020. Now, guys, many other people are being arrested, and the High Court had said that actually it is the violation of the article number 25 which provides the right to religion to the people. It has been said that right freedom of conscience, right to freely profess, practice and propagate religion has been provided, and many a times this particular thing is being abused when people are blindly being arrested on the basis of the love jihad. So, guys, though it has not been said that whether this entire ordinance is constitutional or not, but one of the case the action has been called as violative of the fundamental rights. However, we need to see that into the times to come what attitude towards this entire ordinance will be shown by the judiciary. So, guys, that's all. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it is talking about the recently announced production linked incentive scheme. Now, this particular thing, many a times we have covered into the newspaper also, and even into the Thinking Palette magazine also, we have provided a exhaustive coverage onto the PLI. Now, guys, what has happened? Government under the PLI has announced that the manufacturers, they will be provided an additional incentive for the incremental sales that they do, and this incentive will be provided for next 5 years, and guys, within 3 to 5% incentive will be provided. Now, what is this incremental sale? It means that in suppose first year company made a sale of 100 crore rupees, and in second year it made a sale of a 200 crore rupees. So the incremental sale is this gap, this extra 100 crore rupees. So over this the incentive will be provided. Now, guys, under the PLI, government had said that the 1.5 lakh crore rupees outlay will be given, and under this 1.5 lakh crore the biggest share is for the automobile sector, that is nearly 57,000 crore. And how this particular incentive will now be given? Heavy Industries Ministry is now engaging with the stakeholders and it is making up the rules for the rollout to the automobile sector. Now, guys, here we can see that the scheme has been offered to many of the sectors such as the white good manufacturers. White good manufacturers means refrigerator, AC and all such kind of thing. Pharmaceutical sector, auto telecom, textile, food products, solar photovoltaic cell battery and all such kind of thing. So, guys, this is actually a very good initiative and might help in enhancing the manufacturing of India and might be giving a boost to the make in India. So, guys, that's all about this particular article. Guys, please do utilize it into your GS paper number 3 related answers. So, guys, that's it for the today's newspaper analysis. I hope that you have understood the article. Thank you so much.